Okay, guys, welcome back to Slasher Street Podcast, and I am delighted to be joined by a whole host of fantastic special guests right now, here to talk about the release of their brand new horror movie, Night of the Bastard. We have the writer and producer, Mr. Christian Ackerman. We have also the co-writer, Chuck Foster. We also have special effects makeup artist from Abreaction Effects Julia Hapney. We have cinematographer Jay Ruggieri. Jay, I hope I pronounced your surname correctly there. That's the one I was worried about. And last but certainly not least, we have the stunt coordinator and one of the actors in the film, Mr. Eric Spudic. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast tonight.
Thank you.
How are you all doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Lovely. Awesome.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you all on. Pleasure to have you all on. Now, this is, without a doubt, the most guests we've ever had on at once. So I'm going to do my very best to kind of spread the questions out evenly and give everyone, the correct spotlight for everything that you did and contribute to the film. And I'm going to do my very best to do that. So that is the plan. But first things first, before we get into Night of the Bastard, it's a question that I ask all the guests that come on the podcast. Obviously, this is a horror movie podcast, and we are talking about the horror movie Night of the Bastard. But how did you all get into horror? Have you always been a fan of the genre? Kind of what are your earliest memories, and how did you fall into love with the genre? I suppose if we go like kind of clockwise, maybe. So we'll start with yourself, Christian, at the top there.
Okay. The first few horror films I saw were God damn it, what's it called? Watcher in the Woods. That's an early 80s Disney movie. And then there's Ghostbusters and Gremlins. Those two really turned me on to it kind of wet my whistle a little bit. And then it was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, that really got me into horror and more obsessed about Freddy Krueger and just getting over my fears of them that I once had. So that was the one. And then after that, it was all over. The life was over.
Addicted from that.
It was, yep.
What about yourself, Chuck?
Well, my father was a horror movie host in LA, so he basically weaned me on like Paul Naschy and Hammer films. So from a child, he showed me The Shining when I was 4, which gave me nightmares for months and really angered my mom. I saw like Clockwork Orange very young. You just was never like putting restrictions on me that way. And so just growing up, that's pretty much all I watched. And now it's all I really can watch because it's so ingrained in my brain. So I kind of get bored watching something that's not like Bruno Mattei crap. So
I agree with that, to be honest. I agree. Like anytime my wife tries to put something on, it kind of feels like a waste of a night, We just put like, I don't know, Big Bang Theory on or something. Like, no, we could be watching something on Shudder or something,
Yeah.
That's something that matters.
Thankfully, I've brought my wife over to my side with Jess Franco and Bruno Mattei. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Julia, what about yourself?
When I was in kindergarten, my favorite movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. My mom was also the person that got me into horror. She rented it and she would watch them with me and we'd watch them over and over again. And then I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 9. So I was a sick kid. I was home from school a lot. And I just watched horror movie after horror movie after horror movie because it took my mind off of the pain. And it was just really inspiring. Like everything about the final girl, like fighting to beat all the bad guys and the monsters. Like there was just something about like healing through watching that.
Wow, it's awesome. Not Crohn's disease, obviously, but that kind of warmed your...
I mean, getting to watch movies didn't suck so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. Eric, what about yourself?
The first horror movie I remember seeing was The Brood. That was made in 1979 up in Canada, a David Cronenberg picture. It terrified me as a child. Those little monster kids with the hammers beating the shit out of their teacher and blood flying everywhere. And Children of the Corn, Cat's Eye. The first horror VHS tape I ever bought was Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. But George Romero's Dawn of the Dead is my all-time favorite. I'm obsessed with zombies. I can't get enough of them.
Fantastic. And Jay, what about yourself?
Yeah, a lot of the aforementioned movies, of course. Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, and me and Christian got to work with some of those actors. So that was really fun from that movie. So it's really funny to be like, wow, I watched you as a kid, and then to actually some what's his name, played Jason Voorhees. We got to work with him as well. So it's just really cool to get to work with him later. And I've always loved. I was always drawn to cinematography wise, like the lighting and stuff in those movies, because you get to do really fun things that you can't do in other movies.
Fantastic. And I kind of think it's cool as well. Like a few of you guys there said about your mum getting into horror. I mean, my mum wasn't a very big horror fan in general, but I remember on my 8th birthday, for my Christmas when I was about 8 years old, she was like, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" And I was like, "I just want loads of horror films." I was like, "That's all I'm interested in getting." And I didn't think she would get me any of them, but in my stock in that year, there was all the hits: Nightmare on Elm Street, The Exorcist, Friday the 13th. And that was like me from there, really. So it's just hooked ever since. And my brother, he's like 3 years younger than me. He kind of got into it even younger because he was watching them with me. So he kind of got an easier ride in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're here to talk the movie Night of the Bastard. So let's get into it. So Christian Chuck, you co-wrote, the movie. Can you tell us a bit about how the idea of the movie came about originally for you guys?
Oh, let Chuck go for it. Let Chuck.
Well, really, I mean, the truth of it is that London May and Eric Bosio, the producer, actor, and director, came to us with an idea, and that was what we wrote, and we did our best to work within what they had set up and everything, discuss it, talk about the elements that were working, what wasn't working, things like that. And, what we ended up with was what you see, pretty much.
Yeah, I think we started in 2020 or so. I think we wrote it a year before we even shot it. Just COVID. We thought COVID was going to end early enough, and then it did not. And so we had to wait a year. But yeah, I mean, it took us, I don't know, a month or two, maybe like less than a month to get that first draft done. And it was it was a lot different than what ended up being filmed. Because Chuck, we had some supernatural elements that were in there, and we were going off. I think, did we write the whole thing as supernatural, Chuck? Like
I don't
the
remember,
whole script?
to be honest. I mean, that may have been one of the things early on that I was, because I know that was something that was really bugging me, and I talked to you about it, and then we got on the call with them about it.
Yeah, I just don't know if we wrote the whole script with it, or we wrote parts, maybe half of it, or something like that.
Probably half, because we didn't know where we were going with it, like what to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because especially we knew it was going to be low budget. People levitating and that kind of stuff would have been a little difficult to make happen. So we made it all just based in realism.
Perfect. I was going to ask, actually, because obviously you both co-wrote the film, and you said they're based on the initial idea there from, was it Eric who had the initial idea, and Jay?
Yeah, Eric and London did. Yeah, they gave us about about a 1-page synopsis of what they thought. It only had the Reed character and the villains, and then and the setup from like at the beginning, the opening scenes. And other than that, then we added in the Maya's character and kind of Kira. Yeah, we added in Kira and the turtle, and kind of made it a lot more dynamic to have someone for that Reed character to be talking to through the whole time and fighting these villains with.
Awesome. Well, because a lot of the movie is it's a cult based and stuff like that. Was that something that you guys had prior knowledge about? Because a lot of the kind of rituals that we see in the movie, and the wording, and kind of the things that they're trying to accomplish from the ceremonies that they're performing. Did you guys have to study up on that, or was that something that you were already kind of well in the know of to bring into the film?
Yeah. Chuck more than I. We've both read up on a lot of that kind of stuff, black magic, and especially Chuck knows a lot more than I do. But yeah, we always, almost all of our movies take from some sort of evil demonic witchcraft. And pretty much everything we write, we have some sort of nasty evil black magic in it with demons.
That's the best stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And way back for I think the first screenplay we wrote together, it never got produced. We were incorporating elements of Freemasonry. I started reading up on that, buying all these books on it, and then like actual Freemason books, not conspiracy books. And then from there, I started buying all these Aleister Crowley books and like just kept reading this stuff. So yeah, it's very important to me that those elements are like, at least come off as authentic, because nothing really annoys me than watching a movie with some sort of occult thing going on and like it's completely off, and it's something that they could have like read on Wikipedia. Just do a little research and it won't take me out of the scene and destroy it for me.
Yeah. Some of the chanting we didn't write that. They wrote it on set, so some of the characters did, but all of anything that was spoken is what we really wrote. All the dialogue.
Yeah, and it comes across very authentic, I think, in the film as well. I do think it comes across because I think it's a difficult thing to kind of juggle, I would imagine, because this is real life for actually, like this kind of, I don't want to call it religion, but like Satanism and stuff like that. It's a real thing in the real world that people take incredibly seriously. So did you have that kind of weight on your shoulders that, you wanted to be respectful, but also, correct in what you were putting out there?
Yeah. We always want to base it in authenticity as much as possible. And so, and we do have a hefty amount of respect for all religions in general, but or at least what the theories are behind the religions, maybe not the organizations, but yeah. I mean, Chuck, what do you think? Like we try to base it in, try to be respectful at least.
Right. I mean, I'm not doing it to poke fun at this sort of thing or that mock it or anything like that. That's why I wanted to come off as real, because Charles Band movie or something, and it comes off as hokey. Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's cool. And so the movie it very much feels like a 1970s grindhouse exploitation movie as well. Was that again in your head when you were writing this movie, that was kind of where you wanted to take the movie?
Yeah, that's what Eric and London wanted. They definitely wanted this 70s gritty, old school cult film, and so that's where we went with it. I mean, and that's up our alley for sure. So
yeah. How did London and yourselves connect? Because London obviously is in loads of bands, and I think Christian, you are also in the music industry as well, and Julie yourself as well. So is that how you connected? Did you know just London through that kind of music and band connection?
Yeah, Chuck
actually it was me. I met him at Trauma Dance here in New York, and my friend was working for Trauma, and he held the event. I ended up meeting London and Eric there, and we just talked. At the time I was writing a lot for Film Threat, and I wrote up a thing about the movie for him, and just got a thing in the mail saying, hey, or email rather, do you want to, we're looking for writers for this movie. And we just said, what the hell, why not,
Yeah, why not? Here we are. Jay, I'll get to yourself here as well, as you're the cinematographer on the movie as well. The movie is primarily set, at night. It's in the desert. We'll get onto the locations and things like that. But was there any challenges for yourself working in that kind of setting? Because apart from really the fire and kind of the odd lighting, that's kind of the setting. It's a cabin literally in the middle of the desert. So was that difficult to work with? Was that a challenge for yourself?
I think the biggest challenge to that was our environment, and that was an equal challenge for everybody. It was like 115 degrees when we happened to be shooting there. So at 2 a.m. So this was 10 days, all overnights. So overnights in itself is pretty tough. And then at like 2 a.m, we're looking at our phone and it's like 92 out. At 2 a.m, it's 92 with this hot wind blowing. So, that was the toughest part of working, was the the weather, basically, I guess. Other than that, it's, of course, it's nighttime stuff can always be tough, but this was really cool because it allowed us to do some really fun kind of lighting. Things could be dark, and that was okay. It was, we wanted it to be dark. We had a lot of fire effects going on, so that helped and was really fun to do. So overall, I would say the toughest part was actually the environment. But we championed through it. We had a windstorm one night. I think winds picked up to like 50 miles an hour, blew one of our big lights over. We all had to run inside. Like, it was throwing, like it felt like BBs or something hitting you. Like we had a sandstorm. It was crazy. At like 2 a.m, we all had to hide inside our trailers for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and we were on the walkie going, stay away from the windows.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was that bad.
Oh, man. Because I was going to ask, what was in terms of the location, obviously it's in the middle of the desert, so what was kind of the idea behind that as opposed to, say, a woodland setting or kind of something like that? Who was that? Yourselves who kind of wrote in the desert setting, or was that London and Eric who had that idea?
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, that was actually London and Eric again, and that was because our original location was a house that Eric had in the desert, which he ended up selling before they shot the movie. So, but we just kept the desert location, and they found another house.
Yeah, we wrote it for a specific house, and then by the time we shot, then it had to be changed up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
The new location, yeah.
So was because obviously it probably helps that some of it was set at night, but was that a challenge in itself with kind of the weather and the heat? Like, how was that working in for you guys?
Yeah, that was the tough part. Just waking up at 4 p.m. and going to work, and it's just going to be hot all day long. And then it's like 6 a.m. when you get back to we were just renting houses to cheap houses to stay in, and we were all just kind of sharing rooms and stuff. And Julie and I we'd go out and have a beer, and it's like fucking miserable, like 110 degrees in the morning. We're like, holy crap, what's going on, dude?
It was definitely a labor of love. Every single one.
Oh, man. Was that something that, if you could choose again, would you change the setting to make it a bit more easier, or was that just part of the journey? Was that just part of the...
Yeah, always. Yeah, fuck the desert, dude. The desert sucks. I hate the desert, so I if I don't have to be there, I don't want to be there.
Yeah. I live in Northern England. And Northern England, I am as far away from the desert as possible. Sand. Even on our beaches, there's no sand, just rocks.
Oh, really?
It's grim as fuck. So, Eric, I just want to jump to yourself here as well. You were the stunt coordinator on the film, and you were also an actor in the film as well. So, was that a challenge, having to juggle both of those at the same time, having to keep people right whilst also, being in the zone yourself?
It definitely was. A lot of times, I'm trying to remember all my dialogue, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I got to think about this fight scene here that's coming up in about half an hour. How are we going to choreograph that? And then going back and going, wait, what was my dialogue again? And, I just, it was really hot. So it's hard to concentrate as an actor. But the fight scenes turned out really good. That was a lot of fun. I think I replaced somebody. Christian called me up and said, hey, we just lost our stunt coordinator. And so they wanted me to replace him. And then I think it was maybe a day before shooting, somebody said, oh, we just realized the guy who was stunt coordinating was also playing a character. He was playing George or Earl, I think was the character's name. And so then they switched us. George played Earl, and then I played Vince. And so, it was just a real good time. And I like playing that character too. He's weird and squirrely and, has a little bit of martial arts skills, and you just don't know too much about this guy. I mean, I don't know. I played it like he was semi-autistic, maybe, very quirky.
Yeah. And in terms of, because obviously you are the stunt coordinator, you're acting, you're in the middle of the desert, it's sandy. Was this it's red hot as well? We've established that it was as hot as the sun. So was that like an issue? I mean, is that an environment that you've worked in before, like in terms of keeping everyone on track? Because you've got so many elements that you have to probably take into account there, I would imagine.
The good thing is about working out in the desert was when you fall, at least you got some padding as opposed to the concrete. You slam down, you're going to get hurt. So, that sand is pretty soft out there. I don't think anybody got hurt. In fact, I think I flipped onto my back, 8 times or 9 times or something. And I just kept getting up and I was like, okay, let's do another take. So, it was pretty good. I think the sand, it did affect somebody. Somebody couldn't breathe because we were fighting and kicking up dust everywhere, and somebody just couldn't breathe because of it.
Yeah. Could I just ask Eric as well, just as a bit of a separate question, how did you get into stunt work? I know that's a bit of maybe a loaded question, but like I always find it quite fascinating, like what would inspire someone to get into stunt work, because you're essentially putting your life on the line, depending on the production. Well, pretty much any production, anything can go wrong. You put your life on the line, and sometimes it's a pretty thankless task. I've heard like Kane Hodder talk about his stunt work and some of the crazy things he's had to do and not even getting credited for that kind of thing. So like what made you get into that line of work?
I've been doing martial arts for about 35 years now, so I kind of know how fight scenes should play out. And I thought somebody actually wanted me to do stunt work back in like 2007. And I said, no, I just want to act. I just want to do the dialogue, and that's it. But then as the years go by, I'm like, I'm just not paying the bills with acting. So why don't I do something else? And somebody said, these stunt people are getting, $300, $500, $1,000 a day. And I thought, gosh, maybe I should start doing that. So it was more of a financial thing. I realized I got to pay the rent. Here, let me get banged up and beat up and cut and bleeding and bruised. And then I did some fight choreography on a couple of movies. And then now Christian's hired me on 5 movies as the stunt coordinator. So it was almost by accident. I was like, yeah, I'll stunt coordinate this one movie, but then I'll probably never do it again, But then he just keeps calling me and I'm like, sure, okay.
Awesome.
Yep.
Must be doing something right then, because if you're getting the work, that's it. I just think it's one of those things, one of those professions. It just blows my mind. Stunt work, it's just. I know I don't look like it, but I did wrestling for a little period of time, and then I just completely didn't screw my neck up completely, but I landed badly, and I was like, nope, that's not for me. And like wrestling, break falling, learning how to flip, similar to stunt work. I just could not.
What was your wrestling name?
Oh, it was so corny. It was Super Juice.
Nice.
A comedy character. The comedy kind of, tried to cover up my lack of skill. So,
wait, did you come out with like a juicing machine and just try to shove it in people's faces?
Yeah.
Juice.
Yeah, exactly. And it had basically it was just the stupidest thing. I had a grape kind of, lycra singlet, so that was kind of like juicy, and it was horrendous. It was short-lived. It was a short-lived career. Jay, I know we haven't got you for long here left, so I just want to ask you real quick, because before we get to yourself, Julie, Jay, how did you get involved in this production? Like, did you know Christian and Chuck and all these guys before? Because I think you said that you'd worked on a production with Christian just at the top of the show there.
Yeah, it was through Christian. Like Eric, I think Christian's, thank you, hired me many times for many things. And we both share a love of horror. And, he knows that I like to run and gun. We can get it done together. I know me and Christian get down real gritty if we got to, we love what we do. That really helps. And so, yeah, it was through Christian. And I think we've done, and we were actually on another movie together when this came up. And he said, hey, you want to shoot a badass low budget horror movie? I said, hell yeah, without hesitation, for sure. He's like, it's gonna be real terrible. I'm like, great, thanks for thinking of me. one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because the themes of the film as well. You know, we'll get into it, you know, separately with you guys as well. The themes of the film, it's quite strong. You know, it's not like just a low budget kind of slasher film or anything like that, where you think, oh, this is a, you know, a laugh a minute kind of thing. It's a very kind of dark, kind of almost quite serious throughout film. So, how was that for yourself? You know, working with those kind of themes, was that something that you'd done before, or was that something that was just completely a bit of an eye opener for yourself? Or
For me,
yes, sorry, Jay. Yes.
Oh, that was totally new to me, but it was real fun. It was like uncharted territory, and it was like, let's go. The weirder, the better. You know, it was real fun doing.
You have done a movie called Along Came the Devil Part 2, though.
Yeah, I've done. But that wasn't like satanic kind of stuff. You know?
Okay.
Those sort of themes. That was more. I guess that's more like an exorcism movie. So like I've shot, you know, dark horror before, but you know, as far as the whole satanic thing, that was new. That was fun. But yeah, I've done 2 movies called Along Came the Devil, which did pretty good in theaters and stuff.
Awesome. And because the movie is very fast paced, I mean, there is points where it's just non-stop action. So again, was that, you know, a bit of a challenge for yourself to kind of get the shots right at the right time and the lighting right when literally it's balls to the wall?
That was definitely a challenge. And I think, you know, because of our schedule, we had to move so fast. It was kind of like...
Oh, he just froze.
Oh, no.
He's frozen in time.
He's in Oklahoma in some small towns. He might have some slow internet.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm back.
There you go.
Get the mouse running.
Yeah. So, what was that? Yeah. So basically, because of time, we had to like do the blocking, watch the blocking. Eric would do the stunts, and Eric, our director, would look at me and he'd say, "You ready?" Like, yeah, I'm ready. And I did martial arts for a long time as well, like probably 17 years. So I think I'm good with the handheld where I can jump in, kind of see what these guys are going to do, and say, all right, guys, try not to hit me. I'm going to be in there as a third person, almost fighting with you with the camera. And I think if we could do that 3 times, if I can move around, you know, just do it over 3 times, we'll get everything we need. So that's basically how we did it. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I love doing that.
I can imagine it was difficult with all the conditions and then obviously how fast paced it was. So yeah, look, solid. Very good. Very good stuff.
Thank you.
Julie. Oh, is it Julie or Julia? Sorry.
Either way, Julie.
Okay. So we'll come to you next. You did the fantastic special effects makeup on the movie as well. So I suppose the first question is, how did you get involved in the movie? Like, you know.
Christian. Oh, wait. My picture off. I'm trying to find the correct angle so I can point at people. Christian.
There it is.
So have you worked with Christian before? You've known Christian for a long time.
I have a very long time. Probably going on 12 plus years now, I think.
Yeah. At least 2010.
Yeah.
2010.
Oh, more than that now.
Yeah. And we've done 20 movies together at least. You know. And yeah, so
he's my family. I consider like that's how.
Yeah.
Very good. So did you take much persuading into getting into the movie, or was it just Christian's asking, I'm there?
Well, he told me that him and Chuck wrote it, and I adore Chuck too. Hey, I know how to do that one. So I knew it was going to be really good. And basically, I'm always like, yeah, send me a script. Let me see what it is. And let's talk about budget. And my biggest thing was that I wanted a certain amount of money. Like I was trying to think the lowest amount that I could do a really good job, because I felt like the script was so good. And I just read it as being like an award-winning makeup movie. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. Like I want to win an award. And the way that they wrote it was so like, it could be shot so fast and so cheaply that when I read it as an effects artist, I was like, oh, I know how to do this one fast and cheap. And I know how to do this one fast and cheap. But this one's going to take a little bit of money because it has to be great. And this one I can do fast and cheap. And this one I can do fast and cheap. But this one I need a little bit of money for. And the way that they wrote it was literally like an effects artist wet dream. I had to sign.
And it came out great. The blood, there's plenty of blood, plenty of gore, just the way we like it. Especially like the we're gonna get to it. We won't spoil anything, but we'll get to the opening scene. I think the opening scene is the scene that a lot of people are, going to talk about. That you'll know straight away whether that's kind of whether you're going to be into this movie or not based on just that kind of opening scene, really. But the blood and the gore is fantastic. The effects are super solid throughout. Do you have a? Oh, sorry.
The opening scene was hard because it was so cold. Like we talk about how during principal photography it was so warm, but when we shot the 1970s stuff, it was freezing. Like literally freezing. We
shot it months later.
All right. Was that in a different location?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. So was that more just to get? So what was the story behind changing the location for that scene? Was it because was that just time? Did that get added later or?
Yeah, that was what Lennon and Eric had planned out, that we were only going to shoot the desert stuff first, the original, like, so all of the stuff with Reed's house.
Present day. We had
present day. And then to kind of make that, and there was such a tight window that we had, that's as much time we had. We had 10 days to shoot all of that stuff at the house. And then all of the prologue, we saved that for another day. And they shot the driving stuff on a separate day too, like a half day or something.
Yeah, all the 70s stuff was shot in 2 days. I was only there for one of the days, and that was like, the blood day. And there was no actual regular makeup artist on this. All the actors did their own makeup. Like I did injuries and special effects makeup, but there was no like straight makeup. There was no hairstylist. There was no costumer. There was no script supervisor. Like everybody that was there wanted to be there. We all just, wanted to make a really good horror movie. And
yeah, I mean, if you look at our crew photo, there's like 15 people there or something, and 5 of them are actors. I think we had a 10-person crew the whole time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
yeah. And on low budget movies, on like the lowest budget, usually I have a 40-person crew.
Yeah.
And that's like super low budget. I mean, I still try to keep that way, even with the higher budgets, but yeah, we had 10 people, and that was it. And everybody was doing multiple jobs. So,
but my effects stuff, like I worked very specifically with Eric, who was stunts, and Jay, who had the camera. Like the 3 of us had a lot of let's sit down and figure out how this is going to work. Because I'm like, okay, I have these tubes, the blood's going to shoot that way, and Jay's like, all right, no, I can capture it this way, and Eric's like, but they're going to fly this way. And I'm like, okay, so I can make the blood come this way and this way. And then when we were doing the one scene, not to spoil anything, but there's a scene where someone's in a tree, and Eric just like fucking jumped up in that tree. He was like, in the tree, like this is how we're gonna do it. And I was like, I think that was one of our big first stunt days with you, because you literally went
very
over
first
that
day.
and I was like, oh, the rest of this movie is going to be awesome if this is our stunt guy. Was that your first day?
Yeah, very first day. That was the first thing
it was,
right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was so scary too, doing that scene. I was like, oh gosh, somebody's gonna get hurt on the first day.
Blood just pouring it on people. I was like, I'm the blood. Like, I don't know. It was awesome. But because of these 2 guys, I mean, everybody here, obviously, like, the writers, the producers. But as a special effects makeup person, I work really close with stunts and horror on the day. Like the actors at that point are all, and I hate to say this because the actors are people and we love them. But when the 3 of us are deciding how to do something, like they almost become like, you stand here and you stand over here and you stand over here. And we're trying to figure out like, okay, if they get shot this way, the blood goes that way. How do we capture that? And so between Eric and Jay, you guys are amazing. And thank you so much for
You're amazing. You guys are
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was definitely a collaboration for sure. Really fun.
And never one tiny argument or any kind of negative energy at all between any of that, which was great.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a really close-knit team on there as well, because especially with a lot of the stunts and the gore that we see on there, I suppose everyone has to be on board and working as a team rather than anyone going on in for business for themselves or anything like that.
And all the actors too, like they all came to play ball. They were like, put it on me. Like, and even like with the stunt stuff, they were like, yeah, what am I doing? I'm going to do a backflip here and like do this. They were all just really excited to be a part of it. Like we all were, all of us, we were all, as much as we were like, I wish it wasn't 100 million degrees. Like I'm so happy I'm making this cool movie every day at work. And that makes it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was gonna maybe Christian, you would know this one. I mean, in terms of there being such a small crew, was that more because there are certain scenes in the film which I would I think there is a closed set. You know, there's a small amount of people who are going to be involved in, without spoiling it, some of the scenes that are in this film. So was the reason for a small crew, was that budgetary issues, or was it because of some of the themes and some of the scenes that are being shot in this film requires just a small amount of people to be there? Is that just a necessity?
Yeah, no. Well, for sure, the budget dictated how many people you can hire. It always does, and people were not making real money, not even the minimum wage here in the U.S. to even make this movie. It was just enough to like pay your gas to get there, kind of thing. You know,
we all wanted to work.
Yeah, and so, but. When there's nudity on set, those are the times when and no matter how many people you have on set, you're always going to shut down that section of the shoot, and for the privacy of the actors and to allow them to be comfortable on set. So,
yeah, cool. No, absolutely. So, Julie, I was going to ask you, do you have any favorite kind of effects that are in the film? Is there a personal favorite of you from yourself that you created?
Yeah, I like the tree one.
Okay.
I'm really proud of the tree one. I like watching it. I think it's really fun. And I think that we had a really good time filming it. And I think we all kind of walked into that day having like this expectation. And I feel like all the clouds were against us. And we were like, we're not going to have enough time. We're not going to get it. And then when we got it, we were like, oh my God, we all did it, guys. It was like our first big day as a crew. And we were like, we did it. Our movie's going to be awesome. And I was like, I just killed that bathroom at this Airbnb we're staying at. I was like, the bathroom is dead. I used so much blood.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, actually, you've just mentioned Airbnb there. In terms of the location for this film, it's set in a house. So what was the location? How did you find it? I might have read it completely wrong. I might have misheard in kind of another thing, but was that an Airbnb that you guys rented to film in, or was that how did you find this location?
Yeah, London and Eric. So when you are trying to find some inexpensive location, you just go to any small, faraway town and do some door knocking. And I think they eventually connected with somebody that knew this lady Holly that lived in this very semi dilapidated. Her plumbing didn't work and the heating and cooling barely worked. I changed her like she had a swamp cooler, just like it filters the water into it and mists the water throughout the house. It acts like an air conditioner. And so I think they just door knocked, and then finally found this lady who was like really in need of money, and we paid her very, very little. It was the least amount I've ever paid someone for a location.
She's a veteran.
3 locations. What's that?
She's a veteran and like like she literally like
Vietnam veteran or something like that.
I think you paid her in pizza. Didn't you, Christian?
Yeah, well, yeah, beer and cigarettes. You always had to deliver her, and pizza.
Really
yeah, she got a great deal then. Like these people just knocked at the house and gave her free pizza and.
Yeah, she was staying in there with her dogs the whole time, and yeah, it was a wild experience going in there. And she had cats, so cats, dogs, and it smelled like cat pee throughout the whole house. For sure. And so you did not want to stay in there at all. Like the first 2 days of shooting, I wasn't there. Julie was probably there, but it was bad.
I have 3 cats, and I've never been in a position of something that her house was like. It was, but she also said that the cat pee kept like other animals and stuff away. So she was like using it, like a veteran would, like someone who knows how to survive war.
Yeah. I
mean, I tell you what, that bathroom was surviving war.
Yeah.
It all was.
Let's just say the plumbing wasn't working, so the bathroom was used in different ways.
That shot in the mirror, that will never. That's burned into my mind forever.
I did not venture into there, but she was great. Like hanging out with Holly. you know, always cool as shit. And I spent the last, like, after we had finished shooting that morning, I went over there. I spent like a good 2 hours with her, just shooting the shit and drinking beer with her. And yeah, she was super cool.
Awesome. Did you have to refurnish her house? Because there's obviously blood everywhere, blood on the couch, blood on the door.
Yeah.
Was she okay with that? Or
well, I think we brought in a couch and put her couch outside or something like that. And then we put a rug on the floor that might have been there might have been plastic underneath the rug to keep it from soaking into the floor. Other than that, there wasn't, besides like the Kira character going inside to with her blood wound, there wasn't a lot of fighting and blood inside or death. It was all mainly outside. So,
but all the breaking stuff, that was all Lane, right? That provided all the breakables. We weren't actually breaking her stuff, right?
Yeah, we provided all that stuff. Yeah, and I think Lane, she came in and took some of my props. That in my, because I have a storage unit just full of crap, and so she raided my prop storage. And then what else? Oh, and then I made that mosaic that was, you know, I made that on set that they picked up and smashed.
I was doing something else when y'all were filming the breakable scene, so when I actually watched the movie and saw it, I was like, oh hell yeah, they like broke everything, like this is amazing. So I don't, that would out to me because I wasn't there when it was filmed.
The actors did a great job with that scene. They just did not hold back. Henry and the other guy. That was fun.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Did anything hit your camera?
I think things were hitting me for sure. I was like
it was brutal watching it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, the boom operator got hit with something. Was it the record player?
Yep.
I think Henry kicked the record player a little too hard, and it went flying, and it hit him. It's like, oh shit, we got to tone this down, you know. And I think Lane got hit too by something.
Really?
Yeah. Oh god, I felt bad. I was like, I feel like I'm not doing my job, but I didn't expect him to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember being there for that at all. So when I literally, like I said, when I watched it, I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
I think we were in the trailer trying to, because I bought that air conditioner. So Julie and I were just like sitting next to the air conditioner.
Smart.
I really liked that scene because it gave me the same uncomfortable feeling that in The Hills Have Eyes, you know, when the guy goes in the trailer and he starts screaming and just like smashing things. It gave me that same sort of like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the whole film kind of has that kind of vibe as well. You know, the whole film just makes you feel uneasy, which is really good. That's exactly it. That is exactly the tone to go with. So, what, Julie, for yourself as well, what kind of, and I suppose Jay as well, you're all involved in this, practical effects in the desert, red hot, fake blood, bugs everywhere, I would imagine. How was that working like that? Like, was that causing issues in terms of, the actors or getting everything everywhere, or how did you prepare, or anything like challenges for that?
You can take that, Julie.
Yeah, I think on this one I was like kind of allowed to get everything everywhere. They were like, yeah, just like pour the blood everywhere. Like, yeah, more blood here, more blood there, more blood over there. So I was like, all right, cool. Usually as an effects person, I walk in and I'm like, how do I not ruin this? Because it's always been like some nightmare that like I'm going to like make some giant mess and they're going to be like, oh, instead of getting paid, you owe us like $10,000 for the damage you did. And I'm like, oh no, like that's not what I wanted to do. And so anytime I get to go and just spill a bunch of blood, I'm like, this is going to be rad. And then I just, as an artist, you worry about like, well, how are they going to shoot it? Because part of the things with blood is like, I'll do a big blood explosion. And sometimes the camera's right here and they see none of the explosion. And so like when I was working with Jay about this, like in the beginning, talking to him like, yeah, so with this one, like, what are you thinking of, camera going? Cause I think I'm going to get the blood to go this far. And he's like, oh, cool. You're going to get the blood to go that far. Like, I'll just back up so we can shoot it all. We can always punch in if we don't like it. And I was like, oh, I love you. It's just a team.
Yeah.
Because we all want it to be great, but sometimes people don't want it to be messy. And in my opinion, great and messy are kind of the same thing in effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't
Did you find that? Yeah. Did you find that as well, Jay, when you were kind of trying to get everything correct with the blood everywhere, all over the sand?
Yeah, definitely. Everything she said, ditto to that. It was a team effort, and we made it work. And we had to do this stuff quick. So I was really, just impressed with. I was happy with how we were all working together. It was just like quick discussions. Like, it's going to go this way. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Great, let's do it. We got two times, to do it. And
let's do it in one.
Wardrobe changes. Yeah, yeah. That's what it felt like.
Awesome. Julie, I did just want to touch on your own company, Abreaction Effects. I would be amiss if I didn't kind of ask you about this. It is slightly off topic from Night of the Bastard, but you've worked with, I've just got a list of some of the most incredible artists here that you've worked with. Marilyn Manson, Ghost, Metallica, Green Day, Slayer, and actually as well, my, personal favorite band of all time, My Chemical Romance. We did the Draculoid masks for those guys.
Yeah.
And I think you did the Papa Nihil design as well for Ghost, which is awesome. So can I ask, do you have any, I know this is a bit of a loaded question. We could probably dedicate a whole episode on this kind of thing, really, but do you have any favorite kind of stories from working with those guys, in terms of designing like the mask for My Chem, or because the Papa Nihil as well design for Ghost is, pretty iconic now as well.
Yeah. I think I can legally say this now, like working with Ghost and working with Tobias, because Tobias is Ghost.
Yeah.
Tobias is amazing. That guy is so freaking smart. And then some of the stuff I did early on with him, I did like a web series kind of thing where we were introducing some characters, and I got to work with his 2 kids, and getting to like do the makeup of his 2 children, like get to like hang out with them. I'm like, oh my God, like these 2 kids are smarter than like half the people I know. And they're like 9 and 10. And so like getting to be around him and his people, like, is such an amazing group of people. And the Ghost fans are such wonderful, kind, nice people. They're like, oh, excuse me, like, let me move out of the way so that you can walk fast. I mean, they're just so kind. And with Manson, like I toured with Manson. I did Hell Not Hallelujah tour with him in 2015. And he was nothing but amazing to me. I had a great time, covered him with blood. We did a lot of fun stuff. And My Chemical Romance, very cool. I got to do like all of their comeback work, which was really cool. And then of course COVID hit. I was like, oh damn it! Like everyone else, like doing more stuff. But yeah, I got to do the Draculoid masks, and I got to do like the Ghost makeup thing that was on all of their press stuff. It's like a skeletal face.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do a lot of that.
I still and I have managed to see My Chem 3 times now since they came back, but that first show in LA, and I think that video that you did with the Draculoid masks, that was hyping the big return. That is still one of my biggest regrets, not flying out to LA to see that show, because I had to wait 2.5 years to see them afterwards.
I think I cried when I booked the job, because I was literally like, oh my God, I get to recreate like all of this amazing stuff. And like the ballet dancer, the Helena one, like, oh, that's the one that melts me. And I probably have like 100 like selfies of me with her. I'm like, I made you look just like the original. I was like, we need more pictures. So weird. It's weird the things that you like pick out that on set, they're like, oh, that's the one that,
yeah. It's
like
an
I'm very
emo
lucky.
kid dream.
Guys, I'm so sorry, but I got to take off. The pre-production continues over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Have a good shoot, man.
Thank you. It was awesome seeing you guys, and thank you, Ryan, for having me on.
Hey, how's the tornado? You're in hurricanes or tornadoes?
Tornadoes. I had my first tornado I experienced the other night. 6 of them touched down here, so the sirens were going off. It was hailing. It was something. I had to go to a safer place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I guess there's things in place. If that happens while we're filming, there's places we can go, and everybody here has like a shelter or a bunker or something. So.
But film it. At least film it. Film that tornado.
Right.
Yeah, get some footage, man. We need that.
Just get out there. I'll just become a storm chaser.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys.
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Jay.
it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
See you,
All right,
bud.
bye-bye.
Cheers.
And I'm gonna hit the restroom while we do that.
That's awesome. No problem. Well, Julie, I will ask you just a bit of a follow-up question to what we just talked about there, Chris. Sorry,
Okay.
my hand keeps disappearing on this terrible green screen I've got here. Is it easy for you transitioning from working with kind of metal bands to horror? Because I always feel like those two things, I know My Chem's not a metal band, but like Ghost and Metallica, Slayer, Manson, to horror. Is that an easy transition for you?
Yeah, I think Yeah, so a little bit about me growing up. So I loved horror since I was a kid. And then I somewhere around, I want to say like 5th or 6th grade, was like, ooh, guys on skateboards are cute. I want to learn how to skateboard. And so then it was like hanging out with skateboarders. And then skateboarders were like, well, here's punk rock and here's metal. And I was like, oh, but I like both. And they were like, you're not allowed to like both. And I was like, I do. Kind of like I like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, you can like both. But because of that, like, yeah, I'd listened to a lot of the bands way before I moved to California in 2004. And so when I started booking music videos, every time I booked one, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like I remember one of Coheed and Cambria. When I booked the Coheed and Cambria, I was like, oh my God, I have their CD. And like Hot Hot Heat. Like I was like, oh my God, I have their CD. But it's funny, when I booked Ghost, I'd never heard of Ghost.
Oh,
the way that I got the Ghost job is I knew the director who was working with them, and I'd worked with a lot of bands before him. And so like I had no fucking clue that like Ghost was like anything big. Like I didn't know when I went to work that day that I was going to be like creating a character that was on t-shirts and shit. It wasn't until like the 3rd or 4th time that I even did the makeup that I was like, I want more money.
Yeah, these guys sell out arenas.
Like I didn't even realize that it was like that. And then like
Wow.
one day oh my God. And then where was I? I was at Big Boy in Burbank, where they, on Saturday night, where they do the car shows. I like the 1950s kind of vibe thing. So I went to the car show, and there was a guy who had the character of Poppin' Hill that I created like tattooed on him. And I literally like ran over to him like some fucking psychopath. And I was like, I'm the designer of that. I'm the makeup designer of that. And he was like, who is this crazy person? And I was like, can I take a picture of your tattoo? Like, it was one of the weirdest things, but I totally did it.
That is phenomenal. And, you know, those things last forever. They'll be like those characters, these music videos, these movies, they're there forever. You know, you've got your stamp in the world, as has everyone. You know, that's phenomenal.
Luckily, Tobias is an amazing guy too, because I mean, I just didn't know, so like, working with him the 2nd or 3rd time, it wasn't really till I did the pop-up with him. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's like huge. Like this band is crazy. I didn't know.
Yeah. It still amazes me that people don't know that is Tobias. It looks nothing like him, but like people still like don't believe that's the same guy. It was incredible. Yeah, they've just became this phenomenon over the last kind of 5 years. It's gone absolutely insane.
But he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
And like his whole family are like amazing people. Everyone that works around him, like I've worked for some not so great people, which we won't mention, but Tobias is not in that world. Like he is nicest of the nice.
Awesome.
Like if someone was like, he cut in line in front of me, I'd be like, no, he didn't. Like, like no, he didn't.
Oh, that's good to know. It makes me feel good, like listening to them in the car and going to see them when they're good guys. Because there's some not so good guys, as you've mentioned. There's some bands that I've seen and loved, and then they've turned out to be just dickheads and assholes, and kind of ruins the
fans. Though even their fans like have that like love with them. Like, oh, here, excuse me, like let me move out of the way. Like nobody's gone down at a Ghost show without 100 Ghost fans going, oh, they need help. Like it's just. For such a satanic band, what a bunch of nice people.
That's awesome. I just want to touch on as well, which I think this will be a good question for everyone, really. Working during COVID, we all remember that horrendous time. Even though it feels like so long ago, it really wasn't. And I still have PTSD thinking about that time. So I suppose, Julie and Eric, you're doing the makeup and the effects, you're doing the stunt work during a pandemic. How was that? Like, what was that experience like?
I think on Night of the Bastard, we didn't even have to wear masks, I don't think, because it was a non-union film and there's nobody watching over us going, hey, you got to wear your mask and you got to wash your hands. And we were kind of just out in the desert, like just doing whatever we wanted, We were still safe. It's not like we're hugging everybody and
yeah, we all tested first, but we knew that we weren't going to be around anyone because there's nobody to be around. Yeah. And so we just went to our respective houses that we rented, and then we went to set, and that was it. So nobody was
1 minute.
Yeah. And so we were, it was as safe as you could be. But I've done 5 movies 6 movies during this time. And it's starting to get more relaxed, all of the rules, because it's it's lessening in its impact. But early on, it's just like, oh crap, I have to wear this mask, and what the hell is this? Just because I don't have a day job, the only time I'm on working with people usually is when I'm on set. And but the best part about where I am in my position as a producer is that I really don't have to go to set, and I don't actually like going to set. If I'm usually staying in the trailer because I have way too much to do for the future stuff. I just set up that day, and today is running, and as long as it's running smoothly, I'm already thinking about next week and tomorrow and that kind of stuff. So I tend to stay away from everybody anyway. So the mask would go off a lot of times with me and my small crew, but. Yeah, there were the dangers. You're always like, especially last year or 2 years ago, you're worried about someone catching it and coming to set and testing positive, and you have to shut down. And luckily, it hasn't really happened where we had to shut down.
Yeah. Awesome. So were you? I was just going to ask, actually. Sorry. In terms of being on set, you guys are the writers of the film. Were you both on the set as things were kind of going down, making sure that kind of what you put on paper was happening in front of the camera? Were you guys there, or was it just kind of a step back and let kind of London and Eric crack on with that kind of thing?
Yeah, Chuck was in New York, so that's where we've been apart for 22 years or something now. And so that's where he was. Yeah, I was on set. But we wrote a script that was so perfect that it never needed to be changed. No, I'm just kidding. Not. Yeah, no. I mean, I think at that point, like, there wasn't. I think it was already to the point where they liked it, and Lennon and Eric did their adjustments to it to change for the location. And whatever they had enjoyed seeing during rehearsals, like the different little bits of dialogue and stuff that they may have changed, but in the end it was still the same script that we had written like the year before. So there wasn't a lot that needed to be changed. And it was and at that point, maybe if you see something on set like, oh, you're holding the gun kind of this way, maybe you're not more experienced with a gun, hold it this way, and this is how it backfires because it's not a real gun, and that kind of thing. Other than that, we just shot the script as is.
Perfect. Because I was going to ask, actually, as maybe not in this film, but is that an issue for script writers like yourself, where you've kind of put your vision on paper, but then maybe the director has different ideas and then tampers with it? Would they then come to you and say, "Oh, are you okay with changing this?" Or I could imagine that would kind of cause a bit of OCD in the back of, especially my head, if I have an idea and then someone goes and changes it. Is that an issue for writers?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if is this your Chuck and I have done like basically kind of 2 features together, and then I've done another feature on the side and all of them have been not normal, except for maybe Night of the Bastard. But besides Night of the Bastard, let's say as a producer, and mainly a line producer, so the one who puts together the budget and the plan and the hiring of all the people and kind of conceptualizes how the film will be shot. I will almost always need and come up with ideas to try to make the script fit what the budget is, because a lot of the times your concepts are so big that you have to figure out ways to cheat it. And so if you're like, and especially if there's this, even if something simple as changing it from day to night, and you only have like 1 day at a location and you have 10 scenes, but one of those scenes is at night but you have to shoot all day the next day, and you need to have like a 12-hour turnaround for everybody to go home and sleep. You might want to suggest to the director or the writer, whoever's, or usually the producers are in charge. So, so yeah, you might want to say, okay, hey, we need that scene changed today, or hey, why is this character here? I don't want to have to pay this one person to be there just to make this appearance, and they don't even like say anything in the scene, you start making those suggestions and pulling. And so you find ways of saving money, or, you know, or just like, oh, why do we need this ambulance here? And are we going to see it? Or, you know, like, do I have to spend $1,000 to get the ambulance there and have all the trouble to go through getting it there? So yeah, that's the kind of thing as a producer, that's where I have to deal with that kind of stuff. So I see a script, it's my job literally to find ways of making that script and finding ways to go, okay, I need to make adjustments in order to make this thing happen and affordable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that the same kind of thing for you as well, Chuck, from like a co-writer side of things?
To be honest, I mean, maybe I'm a unicorn in this regard because I don't take a lot of that stuff personally, and I sort of expect actors to go all Marlon Brando anyway, which they know. I'm finding that they rarely do that, but I kind of wish they would, because sometimes I think that it would be more natural coming out, you know, that way. But no, it doesn't bother me as long as it's for the better. Do what needs to be done.
Yeah,
don't make it worse, but you can make it better.
Yeah, there's my rule is there's always there's never not a good time to make it better. And so if there's a way you can, if you want to do a rewrite that morning and give the pages to the actors and they're going to get pissed off because they have new lines and they didn't learn those yet. I mean, you know, oh well, like you're an actor, you have to, you know, learn the lines and change it up. And there's never, like, even in editing, there's always a time where you can like go, oh, I don't like that line, let me cut it out, or I don't like that whole scene, that scene doesn't work for the movie. So there's never a time to not make the movie better until you're finally done and it's delivered and, you know, and it releases to the world. So
awesome. And in terms of the finished product for Night of the Bastard, is that how do you guys feel about, you know, now it's out there, it's in the world? Is it exactly how you envisioned it, really, from paper to film?
Yeah, Chuck?
I have this weird thing where I don't really have anything in my head as any expectations. So I was just curious as to how it would turn out. And I was just hoping it would be good. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, cool. You know?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think, it turned out as well as I thought it would. I think so. Like it came out pretty rad. And especially given the amount of money that we had to make the movie, which was really nothing, to kind of the ridiculous concepts in it, which, you know, dialogue stuff is easy, but all of the effects, if we didn't have somebody like Julie or someone like Jay or someone like Eric coming in to really really give a professional, masterful touch to the stuff that usually costs a lot of money, it wouldn't have done as well, you know. And you know, there's always some things that you're like, oh, I wish I would have written that line better, or you know, maybe that, you know, this and that. Yeah, there's always something. As an artist, you're like, oh, you see the imperfections because you made it, you know. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, I've got a few more questions on Night of the Bastard as well, including, I just want to get your kind of thoughts on the opening scene, which is incredibly hard hitting, especially. I don't know if it's especially if you're a parent, but I've got a little kid, and I just think that would be kind of my worst nightmare, something like that happening. And my wife, like anything, like, I'm not going to give anything like that away, but like anything like that is her worst nightmare. You know what I mean? Anything that involves kind of kids and babies and stuff like that. I mean, have you had any pushback from, like, I don't know, fans or film festivals or theaters based around like that kind of that scene? Because it is extremely hard hitting, like kicks the movie off with a real bang.
Julie?
Honestly, like, it's not like I burned a baby in a different movie, and the baby died and was burned. And like, it didn't get nearly the amount of attention that this one got. So I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I refer to it as the baby kill scene, but like, you can take with that what you want, because did that happen? Did that not happen?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any backlash. I know we got banned in Pakistan somehow. We're not sure why. We weren't sure why it was even playing in Pakistan. I don't know how that happened, but at least we're banned somewhere.
Yeah.
People are upset with the fact, like the negativity about this is like, it's too satanic. It's too real from what I gather. It's not about like the makeups I did. It's the fact that we're using like real occult shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I suppose, like say, it's kind of heavy hitting subject as well with everything that happens. I mean, it's done extremely well, I think. And like I say, it hits hard on the start of the film. And I say it's banned in Pakistan. That was actually one of my questions. So the movie is banned in Pakistan. And if this was, and I 100% guarantee it, if this was a real 1970s, exploitation film, this would be a video nasty, what's called a video nasty here in the UK. This would be on the UK banned list, which
I love it.
Synonymous kind of thing here in the UK between the 1970s and 1980s, the video nasties list. This would be 100% on it. So what was your reaction when you heard it was banned in Pakistan? Because, I mean, it's, like you say, I'm not sure how it would have been played in Pakistan or where it would have been played, maybe at a film festival or something. But the fact that you could say banned in 2023 is like a massive stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Dancing. We did it.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't any Muslim stuff in it. I don't know why, but I don't know. Maybe there's something in it that they saw, or maybe there's the sex. I mean, it's just mind blowing that it was even going to be playing there in the first place. So that's, and as Chuck and I, as big fans of, the video nasties, and that's like the far away country that it's like, ooh, things are banned over there. That's really cool, and that's like, oh, we wish we could be banned there someday, Yeah, to be banned somewhere is always a seal of approval and a little medallion on your chest,
Yeah, you did something right.
Yes.
We all cheered.
Yeah. And if the Blu-ray comes out, you've just got the sticker on the front there, banned.
Yes.
That's why I watched Faces of Death, and I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed.
Yeah. Is it called Faces of Death in the UK? Yeah, have you seen Faces of Death?
I don't think I've seen it. No. What's it might be called something else though. But,
yeah, in the 80s, it was like the VHS, like forbidden stuff, and it was banned, right? Yeah, and so it was like real death scenes and filmed,
and the potato people.
Oh yeah, and always some weird stuff from around the world, just some weird stuff, and I've seen so many of them, I don't remember what all of them. But yeah, so they would show a few real deaths, and then some of them they made up.
Oh shit!
It was like motorcycle crashes and like just like full
the Mondo movie, right?
Yeah.
But
there was like 7 or 10 of them or something. Like every time I went to the video store, it was like there was a new one, and I was like, oh, but I don't want to watch it, but I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah.
And then I was always disappointed. Like,
I remember watching it with my mom too. We were like, oh, let's get Faces of Death.
Specifically the potato people. My mom was like, why do they have potatoes on their dicks? I was like, I don't know. It was a motorcycle accident, I swear.
And I bet you watched that when you were in kindergarten too, huh?
Oh, probably. Oh yeah, I was it was before I was less than 9. So I was like,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I'm like scarred from the potato people. I'm not scarred from Freddy Krueger. It's the potato people.
I think it's always difficult as well when you watch a film that was previously banned and you just build it up in your head so much, especially these kind of 70s films that were banned, and you think, oh my God, what is going to be on this film? And it's never anything that's as big as you think it is in your head, especially from way back then. There's only so much they could do back then, and I think the BCF, I think, British. I can't remember. Oh, the BFCC, sorry. British
big fucking stupid cunts, huh?
Yeah, they banned everything.
But where you are with nudity, like growing up, like you had like a soap commercial with a boob in it. In America, we're like, oh, contraband, that's a boob. So it's already different, I think.
Wait, you got to send me these commercials.
Am I wrong?
I don't remember it, but I think I would have. But we have shower commercials all the time, and yeah,
with like actual naked boobs in it. Like it's not like contraband like it is here.
Not today. They kind of cover.
I was born in 1983, so I'm talking about like the shit that was on in like 1988.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wouldn't remember, but yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That was before my time, unfortunately. See, I missed all this great stuff. in the 80s. Video stores and boobs on British TV during the day.
Miss soap boobs.
Yeah, soapy boobs during the day.
But you didn't miss the Lycra, though. You definitely hit the Lycra.
No, I brought that back.
Fair trade.
I just want to talk as well about one of my personal favorite characters in the film. I think Marlon, the turtle.
Yeah.
I think he is a phenomenal character, and like I say, I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything like that, but it warmed my heart at the end. So I was going to ask: is this based on a pet that you've had over the years, Marlon, or either you or Chuck? Like, where did the idea for Marlon come about?
Yes, yeah, for sure. So we needed something to. I mean, this is all scientifically designed, is in the screenwriting world. So we needed something to soften up the Reed character and make him a little more likable, because he's not a very nice guy, and so that's the easiest way to do it. And but I had one of my old girlfriends who I'm really good friends with still. I bought her a turtle, and I bought her 2 turtles, and one of them was picking on the one that she eventually called Marlon too much, so she had to take him back or something, but separate them. But yeah, we kept Marlon. He was our best friend. He would just hang out with us all the time, and I even got to, after we broke up, I babysat him, or he came and lived with me for a little while. And anytime I was riding, he would just crawl up my leg and all the way up my my torso and go on top of my head, and I would put him right there, and he would just sit there and rub his hands between my hair, and we would take him on walks, and he was like the coolest guy. And so that was based on Marlon, and I tried to get the real Marlon, but luckily they had found someone that owned the truck that's in the movie, that's kind of that dead truck in the film. He also had a bunch of turtles, and so we borrowed Marlon for a while. Marlena, I think her name was too. So weird. It was the same similar name too. But yeah, so it was a female turtle playing a male.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You would never know.
Treated very nice.
Yeah. It was, and part of the time I was the turtle wrangler on some of those shots that you might remember. I was just trying to figure out, like, hey, walk this way. He just kind of pick him up, and he just wanted to, like, go. It was so hot, he wanted to go underneath the truck and just stay there in the shade.
Yeah.
Not come back out.
The shooting title was Marlon, I remember, and I was like, I'm glad you guys changed the title, because it sounded like a coming of age movie or a TV movie. Yeah. No, the movie was always titled Night of the Bastard, but they had wanted to just to do it to kind of give it a little more of a respectful edge when it comes to bringing in people from throughout the world.
I was upset when I saw the name change on the script right before we started shooting. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I wanted to win an award for Night of the Bastard. I ain't gonna win an award for fucking Marlon. I was like, God damn, you guys. Are we maybe we're not allowed. I don't know. Remember that one person that may or may not have been an actor? Probably not allowed to talk about that, but that was another reason I signed on real fucking quick.
Oh, you've kind of intrigued us now.
I know. Well, if the movie's already cursed, like, might as well, right? But I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to say that unless Christian says we are. I don't know. There was one person that I was told would be one of the cult people, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. And then it was like, just kidding, he's not there. And I was like, well, thank God I didn't fucking start making the severed head yet, because it's gonna be a different dude. But like, if people are upset about how satanic it turned out after we made it, I can't even imagine what we would have gotten if it would have went this way. Maybe one day they'll talk about it. I'm not going to be the one to say it, but there was a thing. There's a lot more coming out in 20 years on this one. And they're talking about like a sequel and a prequel and all that too. So
Yeah,
See where they
awesome. So
go
yeah,
there?
I was gonna ask actually, is there a future for a franchise in this, Chuck? Do you think, in terms of what's next for the Night of the Bastard and the story behind it and all that kind of thing?
There's no way to tell. I mean, of course, I would always say yes. I hope so. I certainly would like to see more come of it and everything. But a lot of that depends on the markets. It depends on the money. It depends on so many factors that I just don't. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket on that one.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Before we wrap up, Christian, I did just want to ask you about your book trilogy, which you were kind enough to send me through, the My Favorite Horror Movie Trilogy, which I'm in the middle of getting myself through at the moment. Great little reads, as you say. You just pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. Nice short kind of stories on people's favorite horror movies. So, what was what was the idea of that? Because you were the big main curator of the book with Felicia Rose, I believe, as well, and it's like your project. So, could you tell us a little bit about that and how that all came about?
Yeah, I was working for a company that almost Eric and Julie both did some of those movies, and so I was making so many movies, and none of them were my own, that I really wanted to have something to do. I was so busy with all of those movies that I wanted something to do that was creative.
That Christy Swanson one was awesome.
Oh yeah. We did a movie with Christy
very
Swanson.
proud of that.
Yeah, called Killer Under the Bed. And so I don't know if there's Lifetime in the UK, but Lifetime Movie Network here is, it used to be called Lifetime Television for Women, but it turned into almost exclusively very like revenge films and all these thrillers, and stalker movies and that kind of stuff. And so my producer boss was kind of one of the kings of that. And so I made 15 of them in like 30 months. And so while I was doing that, I was like, oh man, you could probably, maybe I should try to make a book. Maybe I should write something. I'm like, I hardly read books anymore. I watch movies. Well, maybe I can write about horror movies. And then, maybe I can just write, have all my friends write an essay, and take them 20 minutes to write an essay, if that. And so that was the kind of the early stage of it. And then I started asking people, and people were interested, and I ended up wrangling 50 people on that first book. And it took about a year to get everybody together and get it going. And then in 2019, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm going to do 2 of them now. So I enlisted Chuck to be to be an editor with me, and his wife helped out a lot, Jen, and Felicia Rose, and we all kind of got together and gathered another 100 people for 2 books. And I had made 8 movies that year and those 2 books. So it was like, after that, I was done.
And then we had a convention. That was actually where I met London. London came to my table and was like, hey, I did the, and he like gave me the link to his short film, and my mom was in town. And then I came home. My mom was like, you better watch that short film that guy you met sent. And I was like, I don't want to watch a short film right now. She was like, you better watch it. So I watched it, and I was like, this is actually cool.
Yeah.
And so when I heard his name again, like a year later, I was like, oh wait, I met that dude. Yeah, I want to work on this. Like it was all,
and
but all through Christian.
Yeah, with Amazon, and all 4 of us were involved in all the books, or at least the first book, especially. The good part about self-publishing these days is that it doesn't really cost you anything to do. So if you want to write a book, go on Amazon. You don't even have, they even have like a cover designer. We didn't use a cover designer, but you could use the cover designer and upload a PDF, and you can have a book, and you didn't spend a dime to have a book published on Amazon. And I mean, I did spend dimes, but yeah, but it was all partnership. So I didn't have, everyone was like a partner in the books. And it was a lot of fun. It was very, very overwhelming that year, making 8 movies and doing those 2 books. And Chuck and I were on the phone going, oh, Chuck's like, why don't you separate these 2? Why don't you just do one next year and then one now? I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I want to put these fucking books out. We're gonna fucking do it. And, yeah, we had a blast, and And yeah, it's something to be very proud of, for sure.
And then you did the drive-in thing. That was like right after.
What's that?
The drive-in.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was a big fucking thing.
Yeah, we did that too.
Yeah, with Joe Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that was so yeah, during COVID, that was the next year. We're sitting around going, okay, what the hell am I going to do? Is there a way to make money during COVID? Because I can't go and work on anything. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I saw a video about I think it was in Japan, and they had a drive-through, like a building you could drive through, and they had a bunch of zombies that jump on your car and shit and scare you. And I was like, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Why don't I just do that in a drive-in form and rent a big open space or a drive-in? There are a few here in LA still, out in the outskirts, and actually all throughout California. So I called them all, and I called Felissa, and Felissa and I started working on it together, and Chuck, and then Felissa was like, hey, I've been doing Joe Bob's show. This is kind of perfect to have Joe Bob as a host, and he's probably not doing much during COVID either because there's no conventions or anything. So I'm like, okay, well, let's call him, and he agreed to do it. And so Chuck and I wrote like the first draft of. Oh yeah, well, first off, so it's called Joe Bob's Haunted Drive-In. It's like a hybrid of a film festival, a haunt, and what else?
Anthology.
And an anthology.
It's the coolest anything could ever be.
Yeah. And so we were like, okay, well, let's put up a thing for a film festival. Let's just make it free and everyone can submit. And so we got it in 1 week. We only had from start to finish. This whole thing was I think 9 weeks from start to finish. And we in 1 week we got 1,000 submissions, or 1,100, 1,200 submissions. We had to whittle that down to 15 or 14 short films. And then once we chose all the films with Chuck and his wife Jen, my friend Simon, and our friends Sean and Sarah,
something like snake penis or something.
Yeah, snake dick. Yeah, that was yeah. So we got all the films together. Chuck and I wrote kind of the skeleton of what we would want, like to have. The concept was Joe Bob was in town and in the projection booth playing movies to a drive-in cinema, and with his co-host Diana
Prince.
Yes, Diana Prince, Darcy the Mail Girl,
Yeah.
and Felissa Rose, and people would come in and out, so do cameos. And but while they're presenting the movies to the drive-in, zombies enter the space and start attacking all of the cars. And so Chuck and I wrote all that stuff. We kind of wrote the wraparound, and then we had Joe Bob write it in his words. And then from there, we flew him out and we shot all of that stuff, and we edited it together. And within like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, it was the whole thing. We did 3 nights. We sold out at the Rose Bowl here in this giant 19-acre parking lot, and we had that night we had over 750 cars.
Wow.
And there were so many mad moms.
Yeah. They were yelling at our security and all of like they were yelling at me and everybody. Like the best one was like, Mike, because it's the Rose Bowl. It's kind of a respectable place, we were playing movies that. Yeah, we had a movie called Snake Dick and movies about dildos and fucking. One was like about an evil bowl of chili that was like just an asshole. What was it called? The devil. Oh, it's called The Devil's Asshole. Yeah. And so we had one mom. She was driving away. She was like, before this night, my kids did not know what a dildo is, and now they do. I think we changed the world. We corrupted a lot of LA that night, and it will spread out throughout the rest of the world.
They're all asking Santa Claus for a dildo.
Keeping it classy, always.
Oh my god. Are you gonna do another one?
Why would you go if you were that much of a, you must know what you were getting into.
Well, yeah.
They didn't know. They
Oh
thought
my
it was
God.
like we made it like you promoted it in a way that it was like, oh, 8 p.m. it starts. Like, bring your family.
Well, okay.
Snake dick.
Yeah. I kind of tried. I kind of tried to tell them what's going on. Like, hey, this is. I maybe didn't say it wasn't a family affair, but I said, hey, here are the films playing, and one's called The Devil's Asshole, one's called Snake Dick. So at that point, but like the way that I sold tickets on many different platforms, so you might have just picked up a ticket randomly, going, "There's nothing to do on Halloween night. What am I going to do?" And you just found this, or I put an ad on YouTube, and you were watching something, and like, oh crap, there's something going on tonight. And so that's kind of how people just randomly bought tickets, and they didn't quite check to what they were buying,
Well, they knew straight. They knew afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, there was like so many cars, and like a few would just start driving away, and like there would be like an angry mom. And since I was there like zombie supervising, so like I told other zombies like how to be a zombie or whatever. And then I was just chilling, and I was like, oh, angry moms, like bring them my way, I'll handle them. Like, oh hi, yeah, what's your problem? This is fucking horrible. It's the worst day of my life. I'm like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, what do you? No refunds. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'll take it. You can yell at me, and then I'd be like, "Has anyone seen Christian? Has anyone seen Christian? No. Oh, there's another one. I'll take it. Yeah, it was fun though.
Oh man, that's awesome. That is awesome.
I was proud. Are you kidding? Like, look at these moms. I'm like, fuck you.
I distinctly remember there being a disclaimer when you bought the ticket. So, I mean, I don't know what. I mean, again, if they bought it from another place.
Like, they can yell at me. No refunds.
Yeah.
I'll smile.
Yeah.
You yell. No refunds.
Yeah. There were people. There's like something called a chargeback, a credit card chargeback. That when people buy tickets, they can call their credit card company and say this is not as advertised. And so I spent the next month like fighting all of those and possibly refunding some people that were respectful, or just saying, hey, you know what? Let me send you a giant package of stuff. If you didn't like it, you spent your $100 for your whole entire carload of people. Yeah. $100. Come on. And so I would just be like, you know what? Let me send you a whole batch of shit, just to respectfully, say here, if you didn't like it, or if you couldn't see the screen very well, things like that. But there was hardly anything going on during COVID, so
there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And like parents, they were waiting like 2 years to yell at someone.
Yes. Yeah. Finally, they could do something for Halloween.
Yeah.
And everyone was
find somebody and yell at him.
And like these bitches were like, like no mask. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. We had the city was after us too, because they did not want to. They did not want to allow us to have the zombies like walk up to the cars or even walk in between the cars. And so they had completely said nobody's allowed to. None of the zombies are allowed to walk. They can only walk in front of the cars. And I'm like, well, if there's 750 cars and it's in a row of like 15 or 20, there's going to be another, I don't know how many goddamn, almost like 200 fucking rows of cars. And you can't, none of them are getting, the whole point of this is to see zombies. And so at the beginning of it, I didn't know if city people were there. They said they were going to show up. And so this is like the health department of the city too. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm renting, I spent the most amount of money I've ever spent in my fucking entire life renting this damn parking lot at the biggest stadium in LA. The only one that would say yes too, because nobody said yes because I couldn't find anybody. That would say yes because of COVID and safety. And so, yeah, we fucking, and so after about 10 minutes, I told all the zombies, I said, okay, just be safe. Don't go up to cars yet. And then at a certain point, I don't give a fuck. I started walking out to all of them. I said, go hit the cars. Let's do it.
And they were all scare actors. They just wanted to scare.
Yeah. They were just,
they loved it as much as we all did. Everyone was there wanting to do their thing. thing.
They were so happy to be able to do something for Halloween because that was their normal job. Like every year, you know, they had their day jobs and they're like, oh, I get to do this cool stuff at night once a year. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Was that October 2020 that as well? So that was like
2020.
2020. Yeah.
And we had
Yeah.
Danielle Harris. You got Danielle Harris to come out.
Yeah.
That
Danielle
was the
Harris.
first time I got to work with her, and I was like,
Yeah. Dave Sheridan, Danielle Harris.
oh yeah, Dave Sheridan. I forgot about him.
Yeah. The Dead Meat folks.
And we
Dead
shot
Meat
at Wolfpack.
Podcast.
I love Wolfpack.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the most, and it was the most traumatic experience I've ever put myself through. Like, I'll never want to do that again. It was a very no budget affair, and at the end of it, I just laid on the grounds of the Rose Bowl lot, and I said, "Holy fuck, I did it! I didn't lose. Maybe I lost $1,000 or something."
I was about to say, but did you make $1?
No, I definitely didn't make any money. Yeah, it definitely did. No, and the further it went, I was like, oh, and all the chargebacks and stuff. I'm like, fuck, every chargeback was like, fuck, I lost that chargeback. I'm $100 less away from like making $1, and it was, I think it was 11 weeks of nonstop every day, 16 hours a day work.
It was 3 shows, right?
It was a nightmare. Yeah, we did 3 shows. Yeah. I never.
I thought it was fabulous.
Yes. Yeah.
I just showed up to work and made zombies, though. You were like, running the show. Very good.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I remember actually going to a scare attraction in October 2020 here in the UK. Again, everything was shut. We'd been like inside for like 6 months at that point. And then there's a company who runs conventions here in the UK, and they own a venue in Manchester. And they're like, yeah, we're going to put on a scare attraction inside. And I'm like, this isn't going to go ahead. Shoot, this was October 2020, indoors. I was like, this surely isn't going to happen. And we had these things in the UK at that point called tiers. We had like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Yeah. Tier 1 was basically close to normality. You could do whatever you want. Tier 3 was like, board up your windows, go collect the dead from the door. It was that. When Manchester was in tier 3. So it was like the height of that. And I remember going to it, and me and my wife were like the only people in the scare attraction because I think everyone was just too scared to leave the house. It was like, what is going on here? It's this huge, like, indoor arena scare attraction, and the scare actors were just like, yeah, you're getting this. You're getting this. You're waiting 6 months for this. You're the only ones here. And, my wife did not enjoy that at all.
We designed the mask, and Julie did like an amazing job at figuring out how to make these masks work, because all the scare actors, we did want to be respectful, especially if people had open windows and we're going to have scare actors coming up to the windows. But and we told everyone, make sure to close your windows if you don't want to be, if you want to be safe. But I bought these clear masks, and you could kind of see them. But I was like, fuck, dude, As day one, Julie walks me up the first zombie that she made up, and I'm like, holy shit, you just made this thing magical, because she just like sprayed blood and goo all over all of the masks, so you could still see their faces and still see their mouths, and that's like the best part of the zombie.
I glued zombie prosthetics over the masks.
Oh, yeah.
They had something,
and it really made a difference, because you have a zombie with a fucking face covering, it doesn't work, because the scariest part of a zombie is the damn teeth coming at you, and so it was great to be able to see that, and Julie made it really work.
Fantastic. Well, guys, I think we'll wrap it up there. We've gone over an hour and a half, so I do thank you all for your time. But one last thing, where can people see Night of the Bastard? Like, because it's not out in the UK. I did watch it. Let me just say this.
Oh my God, what did you think about it? You never told us.
Well, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It was intense, fast-paced, and like I say, normally slasher movies are my kind of bag, as opposed to kind of, satanic cult movies and stuff like that. But I do enjoy those movies when I do watch them. And I did enjoy it. It was a fun time. Well, as fun as it could be.
Yeah.
And
who did you root for? Who did you root for?
Reed. Yeah, I was rooting for Reed. Yeah. And Marlon as well.
Yeah, Marlon. Yeah.
Mainly Marlon. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but the scene with Marlon,
Ah.
That made the ending even better.
I was rooting for Claire.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But both of them were excellent.
Well, Claire got hers in many ways. So yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, where can people see it? It's now in the UK, but what I will say to people who are in the UK who are listening to this is you can watch it on a certain box. So if you have a certain box, that is readily accessible in in the world, and it has movies on that box, the Night of the Bastard is on there, so you can watch it if you're in the UK. But in terms of America and where it's actually out, how can people watch the film?
Well, I actually just saw someone posting that it is going to be playing UK quite soon, within the next few weeks or 2 months. I forget what it was. And then, but yeah, if you're outside the UK, I guess it's in the US. I don't know if it's playing anywhere else. It's of course, yeah. If you're in the US, it's all over VOD on pretty much every platform.
We're on Amazon Prime. We're on Hulu, I think, or not. We're not on Hulu. No, we're on Amazon Prime. We're on Apple. We're on what else, guys?
Xbox,
YouTube. You buy.
I buy my shit off Amazon Prime, so go Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Awesome. Will there be a Blu-ray DVD release, or is it just VOD for now, or is that kind of out of your guys' control until the powers that be make that decision?
It's above my pay grade.
Yeah. No, it's I would assume it is. Yeah, I haven't heard exactly all of the details, but I think so. And I've heard something about VHS too, which would be actually really cool.
So I keep reaching out to them because I keep reaching out to Eric in London because they do horror conventions. And I'm like, hey guys, can I buy some fucking Night of the Bastard shit to rep at the convention? And they're like, we don't have anything. And I'm like, is it coming out on DVD or anything? And they're like, actually, we don't know yet. And then I keep looking at the websites and stuff that is Night of the Bastard stuff. And apparently they're going to do a DVD, Blu-ray, VHS thing. Maybe. I think a lot of people have to say we want it for it to happen. And where did we sell to? Was it Dark Sky?
Yeah.
Is that who we say, show us the VHS?
Show us the disc. Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe if like 500 of us like contact them and they're like, hey bitch, where do we buy this? They're like, oh shit, we might make it.
Fingers crossed.
Dark Sky Films. Contact Dark Sky Films.
Yeah, cool. So where can people find you guys? Do you have any conventions lined up that you'll be all appearing at where people can come and chat to you, meet you, all that kind of stuff? Anything you'd like to plug that's coming up?
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah, Eric Spudic.
He's amazing.
Find me. He's the only Eric Spudic on the planet.
No, there's another one in Chicago.
What a dick!
Fuck.
Hey, let's go to Chicago and kill him.
If that guy ends up dead, it's none of these guys' fault. If just randomly there's this guy accidentally gets run over or something.
Well, I have a few things, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
Well, my wife and I play very, very strange electronic music that's sort of like horror movie soundtrack music at times. And we've decided to release an album a month. And so we're on our third album coming out in March for this year. Because it's all improv. We record very quickly and everything. So that's coming out. We had just released one called Porno, which is based on we were watching these satanic pornos that I bought while recording the music. Yeah. There's these collections called Satanic Sickies. You can get them from Alpha Blue. And the other thing I write for a music magazine called The Big Takeover. I write reviews, so you can read me in the print version of that. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. But I did log in. Okay.
Awesome. What about you, Julie?
Yeah, Julie.
Christian, whoever wants to go next, yeah.
Yeah, Julie.
I don't know. I technically I'm on Instagram, but I don't really know how to check it or like do anything with it. So Julie, but it's Julia Hapney with an I, Juli. There's no A in my real life. Everyone that knows me really well calls me Julie and not Julia. Credited I'm Julia, and I'm like, oh no, wait, what about me? I'm in trouble. But yeah. I'm on
Julia
Facebook with an I. My cell phone is just kidding. Probably find it. Like, I'm gonna go on my- if you spend 5 minutes, I bet you can like find my cell phone. So that's there.
1-900 pooping blood.
Is it? Do I poop the blood?
That's our
or
phone
do I-
number.
Do I kiss the blood?
Yeah, you can find me at Acronomicon. BlackVortexCinema.com is the website. Man, I don't know what I have coming out this year. There's a movie called Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms that just came out that I produced with James Hong. And so we just had our premiere, and so that's going to be coming out, I don't know, probably sometime this year, probably toward the end of the year. Man, what else? I don't know. I mean, I did a movie with Neil LaBute, and that I assume that's going to be coming out later this year. And man, who else?
Oh, the Ryan one that I did with you, with Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan Filippi.
Yep, that one.
Which one?
That
Collide.
one. That's a big one.
Collide.
Yeah, and then the Pretty Little Liars one. I did the Pretty Little Liars one with you.
Pretty Little Liars one. Which
the
one?
girl from Ashley Benson.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but those already came out. Yeah, there's nothing upcoming. Yeah,
those are rad shit to watch though.
Yeah. Collide and Private Property, and then and Chuck and I are currently figuring out what we're going to do for the rest of the year and the rest of our lives when it comes to writing. And Eric and Julie will always be invited to join us in our.
You guys will make your own movie, and then you make all the money from it.
Yes. That's the plan.
We'll still be there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It is thoroughly appreciated. It has been a very fun time speaking to you all. Like I say, we've tried to give everyone a bit of the spotlight and move it around a little bit. So
you did well.
So try
thank you
with the so many guests on, and all in one kind of thing there. But
yeah, you did well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. And like I say, good luck with everything going forward. And like I say, everyone, check out Night of the Bastard and enjoy it. Yeah. Like, it's there to be enjoyed.
Like Satanic Cops, you'll love it.
Cool. Thank you.
Hail.
Awesome.
Hail
Thank
Satan.
you very much,
That's all I'm
guys.
just saying. Hail Satan.
I just got this
well, thank you
Lucifer
very much,
Valentine
everyone.
shirt in the mail today.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night.
Yeah.